Okay, I didn't really want to make so many videos today, but I would refer back to the previous video that I made about, I think I'm going to call it something like fake news. And now I want to discuss a little bit about poverty in the Hasidic community. Now, I myself, as I said in the previous video, I did not grow up in the Hasidic community, and yet I've made a conscious decision to send my children to some of the most cloistered schools of the Hasidic community. And which I didn't mention in the last video. And my decision to do that is fully informed by my upbringing that included a robust secular education. And that being said, that I do want my children to have, if they so choose, a secular education. But my feeling is that what they are getting, especially on the elementary level, in these ultra-Orthodox schools, Satmar schools, really, is far superior to what they would get if I would send them to a modern Orthodox Hebrew day school, which are really my only options right now. You know, where I live, there's a ultra-Orthodox Litvish school. They said they don't want my kids. There's another Hasidic school, Vishnitz, they said they don't have room. Then there's modern Orthodox Hebrew day school, where the teachers from that school have said this school is no good, and don't. It would be a big mistake to send your kids there. A former teacher, actually, but someone who taught there for over 20 years. And then there's the a little bit further away are the Satmar schools, and that's where I sent my kids to school. They were very welcoming to my kids and so forth. And I genuinely believe that they are gaining things there that they would not gain anywhere else. Now, with this being said, now here I am, I did go to college. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'm an ordained rabbi. And when George Bush was president, that's when I got married, George Bush was president, I was making $50,000 a year right out of college, and it was great. Just married, right out of college. And shortly after Obama came into office, I went from making $50,000 a year to making like $12,000 a year. And now, and then I slowly creeped up to maybe the tops that I made was maybe $25,000, $30,000 a year as a college grad, working maybe 3-4 jobs. Usually something about $25,000 a year, and now 2 years into the Trump administration, I'm making $80,000 a year. I'm no longer on food stamps, no longer on Section 8, all these things. So this imagination that somehow secular education is some kind of a panacea to poverty It's specious, it's ignorant, and stupid. And with that being said, one of the jobs that I had just before I got my current wonderful full-time job that I love was I was working in a what do you call it, in a nursing home, as a chaplain in a nursing home. I was making like, $18 an hour, $360 a week, driving 100 miles each way 3 or 4 days a week to get to this job. Pretty much losing more money than I was making. But I wanted to work. I mean, at the time, that was just around when I had just gotten on Section 8, which was more of a headache than it was worth. But, there I was, even though it was for tax purposes, I was working at a loss, but I had to report the income that was coming in, the gross income, not the net profit, even though I was essentially hired as an independent contractor. And so therefore I was actually losing money on the books, but it didn't work out that way as far as welfare. So I was losing money 3 times, pretty much, working at this job. So here, making, like I said, $18 an hour, working for, they told me, you got to meet the owner of this place, and they said a name, and it sounded like an American-sounding name, and I saw it was a Hasidic guy, Satmar guy. Then he knew who I was right away. They're like, "Oh, you hired Rabbi Kolakowski. That's a great idea. He's such a good rabbi." A guy younger than me, probably doesn't have a GED. Yes, he comes from a prominent Satmar family. And I was very close with his uncle, and so I had met him once at his uncle's house. He wanted to show off how well he knew English when he met me, and he always insisted on speaking English to me. And I know his father also. His father, very, very prominent person in the Satmar community. Very controversial person also. But this kid who's a couple of years younger than me, probably 3-4 years younger than me, and he's a multimillionaire who owns several nursing homes, and I'm a college grad, and he doesn't even have a GED, and here I'm a college grad, who's struggling and who's losing money working for him. But I just wanted to be working. I was working at the time 3 jobs, 4 jobs, something like that. But like, if the work was available, I wanted to do the work, and it didn't matter to me that I'm losing out on Section 8 or food stamp benefits or whatever. I was happy to, with that. But, practically speaking, it was a loss. But, I didn't want to be on these programs if I didn't have to be, and that was totally fine with me, But I'm just saying, the practical aspects of it were like that. So, but that's just my point. There's no guarantee. Oh, here I am. I went to college. I'm going to make money. And the job that I have now, although technically it required a bachelor's degree, a master's degree actually, but they said, I told them up front when they interviewed me, I said, I have what I would consider an equivalent to master's degree. After my bachelor's in an accredited school, I was ordained as a rabbi. I took a lot of studying, but they didn't call it a master's degree in my school. Other schools would. And some other school that, independent, not, they actually, gave me a piece of paper that called a master's degree, but that's not accredited. But but I have the learning, so. Anyway, and the job accepted that. The job that I work at now, they said, yeah, and I have the job, And one of my co-workers, who really technically is supposed to have at least a bachelor's degree, I believe, does not. But he's more, he's more intelligent than a lot of these people who work there who have bachelor's degrees. So. But even that being said, let's say just a regular job, you need a bachelor's degree for it. Work in a bank, right? And you're making $40,000 a year working in a bank, and you have 6 kids. You're going to be on food stamps, So when we talk about in these communities like Curious Joel, poverty. New Square, Curious Joel, poverty, it's a different type of poverty. And it's all based on, when they say these are the highest poverty rates, it's not a poverty where you have drug dealers and, this type of stuff going on like you do in other communities that are known for poverty. It's a community where people work for a living, and per capita, a lot of people are technically under the poverty line because maybe they're making $40,000, $50,000 a year, and with, with 6, 7, 8 kids, that's considered under the poverty line. Whereas in other places that would be middle class, and also New York, they're, it costs more to live in New York and things like that, and that's why, a lot of people are deciding to leave the city and move to rural areas where it's cheaper to live. But that being said, there are less opportunities in the rural areas. But in the Hasidic community, a lot of people work like manual labor jobs. Plumbers, electricians, bus drivers, or they open their own businesses, whether it's jewelry business, whether it's, just some kind of retail business, a supermarket, dry goods store, things like that, and that's their business model. And still, maybe they're only making $40,000, $50,000 a year, and they have a bunch of kids, so technically they're eligible for food stamps or something, and a lot of them aren't. And as it is, more and more are not being eligible for these programs because the economy is getting better. Now, with that being said, many people in the ultra-Orthodox community are in the Kollel system, which is postgraduate yeshiva system. This author, I forgot her name, said it, but I've said this for a while. This is the Jewish monastic life. The difference is, be fruitful and multiply is considered to be the first commandment in the Bible, according to how we understand that. So therefore, monasticism does not include celibacy, but it could include somewhat like a vow of poverty. Not exactly a vow. We're not that into vows and oaths, even though we do study the implications of taking vows and oaths in the Talmud, but they're highly discouraged, as it says in the book of Proverbs. It's better not to take oaths. Than to make an oath and violate it and so forth. So all that being said, the Jewish form of monasticism would be you're married, you have kids, maybe your wife works, and you study all day, and you do receive a salary which is reported to the IRS. You know, it could be on a W-2 that they take out taxes and everything. I mean, I was technically in Kollel when I was single, and I received a salary as a Kollel scholar. When I was, you know, working to be ordained as a rabbi, and I received a salary for that, and you know, it was with a W-2 with the taxes taken out and everything. It's not that much money, but it's, you know, something to live on, and it's something that in our circles, yeah, the wealthy people who make it big, and even some of the other people who don't make it so big, but they see it as something that's worthwhile to pay for. Just to, and if we want to go in the secular world, well, people are paying for sports and arts and movies and things like that, even though it doesn't serve any purpose. And so in our communities, this is what's considered to be valuable, and the wealthy people and maybe other people support these kollels. Now, that being said, the kollel system differs in different communities. The Satmar Rebbe did not want to open a kollel. He wanted everyone to work for a living, but he did not want them to go to college. He felt that, you know, you're going to be more successful instead of working for someone else and having to be blessed through their blessings, to be an entrepreneur and to work on your own. However, he did encourage people to get government jobs, civil service jobs, like in the post office and things like that, when it was feasible for them. And he did care that people should work for a living. And he did not want people to be in kollel all their life. Certain exceptions, certain individuals, that he wanted them to be rabbis. And he wanted the rabbis to be pure rabbis who did not have secular education. Ideally, the rabbis should not even speak English, should not even be able to read English. And these would be the holy men. But the average balabas, his feeling was they're going to make more money not being in college. And also in those days, it wasn't as essential to go to college. And the thing is, today, college has become more or less a boondoggle for a lot of people. People are saddled down with student debt, student loan debts, and with nothing to show for it. You know, they majored in women's studies or whatever. You know, like what did you gain from that? Right? So you'll be a professor of women's studies. I mean, how's that any different than what we do? You know, that's pretty much what I'm going to say. You know, so that's the story. I want to make another video. You can look it up. The Kalavar Rebbe wrote an article about his ideas of why there are the attacks now on the religious schools, which my own personal life history seems to indicate has a lot of truth to it as well. All right, well, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment.